Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video. This is another reaction to the channel named Audit the Audit, and I done a reaction to this channel like 2 weeks ago on I think it was a police officer. It was to do with a police officer pretty much doing something not he shouldn't be doing, and then he sort of got caught out by the other police officers. And first, I know being in this sort of job, it's a very hard thing to do, so I'm not gonna be like, oh, F this guy, whatever. This is obviously just an individual moment where something like this has happened. And I mean, informed sergeant orders officer to release citizens, so I guess it's one person. What is it? Wait, is a sergeant an officer? This is how much I know about the police force. I'm pretty sure a sergeant is another officer. Maybe he's not on the job in a specific moment. Maybe he is. But he orders officer to release citizen. We're going to see what led to this. Again, I'm just here to watch it. I'm not here to sort of cry and moan about certain things. Although if I see certain things that I'm like, why are you doing that? Then I'm going to probably comment on it. But yeah, hopefully you go on to enjoy this one. If you want more reactions to these sorts of videos, suggest them in the comments. Or any other videos in general, just suggest them. Links in the description to my Instagram, my Twitter, same for my Patreon. For those interested in seeing extra reactions that can't be posted to YouTube. But let's just get into this. This is an interesting channel though. I never knew about it until my last video, man. The way he explains certain things is quite...
Welcome to Audit the Audit,
intriguing.
where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers disorderly conduct, personal privacy, and remaining silent, and is brought to us by IDC Chris's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Let's dive right in and audit the audit. On July 4th, 2019, YouTuber and First Amendment auditor Christopher Biederstedt was conducting a First Amendment audit on a public sidewalk outside of the Mendota Lutheran home in Mendota, Illinois, when he was contacted by Officer Holland of the Mendota Police Department. The MPD had received a complaint from the residents of the Lutheran home that Mr. Biederstedt was trying to film the inside of the building from the outside.
What's going on?
Chris, come here. I'm talking to you. Why are you recording the nursing home? You're upsetting the people who live here. Chris, stop walking. Stop. What is going on? Why are you recording the... Chris, stop.
At this point, Mr. Biederstedt is officially detained and must obey the commands of the officer. In the infamous Terry versus Ohio case, the Supreme Court recognized that when an officer, by means of physical force or show of authority, has in some way restrained the liberty of a citizen, then a seizure has occurred. The moment that Officer Holland ordered Mr. Biederstedt to stop, he was officially detained and subject to the lawful orders of the officer. Whether or not the officer's orders are lawful is to be interpreted by a court. And in our current justice system, even if the officer's orders are unlawful, they must be obeyed when they are issued, and challenged later in court. I have covered the topic of detainment in many of my other videos, and I will not spend much time on it in this episode, but I highly recommend taking a look at past episodes to get a better understanding of how a detainment works and how it relates to the Fourth Amendment.
Why are you recording the nursing home? I'm speaking to you. I'm getting complaints about your actions. What is going on? Chris!
Please let me go.
No, I need to find out what's going on. You're upsetting the people who work here. So stop.
I'm gonna go.
I'm ordering you to stop. So stop.
I don't... You work for me. I don't work for you.
Well, I work for the public who
Right.
called me here because of the actions
Did
that
I
you're
do
doing.
anything illegal?
You're upsetting the people who live here.
Did I do anything illegal?
27 from 156. Can you assist? You need to stop, okay?
I'm gonna
What
go.
is going on and why
Is
are
this
you...
illegal?
I want to know what's going on because you're upsetting these people. I want to know what you're
Did
doing.
I do anything illegal? I don't answer questions. Definitely not to
Disorderly
you.
conduct, Chris.
Disorderly conduct
You're
how?
alarming and disturbing the people who
Am
work
I
here.
allowed to photograph on the sidewalk or no?
Section 26-1 of the Illinois Criminal Code states that a person commits disorderly conduct when he or she knowingly does any act in such unreasonable manner as to alarm or disturb another, and to provoke a breach of the peace. This is a prime example of a code whose language is so vaguely written that almost any action could be perceived as a violation.
Yeah,
The core
I
tenets
guess
of the
so.
code are entirely subjective and inherently flawed. Codes like this one exist in almost every state, and they are typically just as vague. These codes essentially authorize officers to take anyone to jail for any reason, and are often used by officers to arrest civilians who have broken no other laws. We will discuss whether or not Mr. Biederstedt was committing a crime later in this episode.
I'm trying to figure out what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm interested about
Chris?
what he's doing because, I mean, he's mentioned it, but I don't really see why he was doing it, what if he was actually intentionally trying to annoy people by doing it or make people feel like uncomfortable. Hopefully he goes into that after, because I'm kind of sort of stuck on that specific thing. Like
Look,
I'm gonna put you in handcuffs if you don't stop.
You can put me in handcuffs.
Okay, then stop.
No, you can put me in handcuffs. This isn't legal.
Stop.
This is not legal.
What are you doing?
This is not legal.
Chris?
This is not legal. I'm going about my day.
I'm detaining you until I can find out what you're doing and why you're doing this.
This is
Put your
illegal.
cell phone down.
That's a Terry stop.
I'm detaining you.
That's a Terry stop.
Put the phone down.
That's a Terry stop.
A Terry stop is a stop of a person by law enforcement officers based upon reasonable suspicion that a person may have been engaged in criminal activity. Mr. Bieterstedt is correct that Officer Holland is conducting a Terry stop based on the reasonable suspicion provided by the 911 call that the department received. The Supreme Court has ruled that 911 calls can serve as reasonable suspicion, and I have covered that subject in different episodes, which I will link to in the info card above. It is impossible to know what the 911 caller reported to the Mendota police, but the officers mentioned that the caller was concerned about Mr. Bieterstedt's mental stability because of his bizarre actions. It is likely that a court would find that the officers were within their authority to stop Mr. Bieterstedt based on the information provided by the 911 caller. As Officer Holland places Mr. Bieterstedt into handcuffs, Sergeant Stewart arrives on the scene.
Sergeant Stewart, I've detained him because he keeps walking away from me and what's going on and recording people who are inside of the prison hall.
Why are you recording them inside?
And he will not give me that answer. He keeps
I
running away
I'm
from me.
definitely not answering questions to you guys, but
Okay, I'll hold them. Go see if they'll sign a complaint for disorderly
Absolutely.
conduct.
Why is he... He should make it easier for himself though. I know this is about the officer. But if I'm an officer dealing with someone like this, you're just doing your job trying to sort of see what's going on. If someone's being this sort of stubborn... I mean, I know there are people who are like this, but it's not even about necessarily a serious thing. Like if it's about a robbery and you're not answering, it makes more sense why you're not answering. But this is about recording certain things or whatever. Maybe you didn't even intentionally do it. Just explain yourself, man.
Why are you being that way, dude?
like what? Hey, can I not
You can.
photograph on the sidewalk?
They were concerned that you were photographing residents inside.
No, there wasn't.
You weren't. You
No.
just photographing
Look, all these blinds are closed, yeah?
along here. I don't know if they are or
go,
not.
Go look at them. All right.
Why wouldn't you stop when she asked you to?
Do I have to?
Yes.
Was I being detained?
Yes.
What crime was I suspected of committing?
It is a common misconception that officers require suspicion of a specific crime in order to detain an individual. The legal doctrine set forth by the Terry case dictates that officers only need a suspicion that criminal activity is afoot. If an officer can point to specific facts which made them believe that some crime may have been committed, then the officer may detain an individual in order to investigate further. Although photographing on a public sidewalk is not a crime in and of itself, there are limitations to the protections offered by the First Amendment. Citizens are entitled to a reasonable expectation of privacy in certain places. And in the 1967 Supreme Court case of Katz versus United States, Justice John Marshall Harlan established a two-pronged test for determining whether an individual's expectation of privacy is reasonable. The Katz test considers whether an individual has exhibited an actual subjective expectation of privacy and whether the expectation is one that society is prepared to recognize as reasonable. That being said, the First Amendment does protect the act of public photography, and the public domain extends to whatever can be seen from a public location. While citizens may assume that they have a reasonable expectation of privacy inside their homes, courts have ruled many times that photographing the inside of a home through an open window is a constitutionally protected activity.
What? Is it? That seems a bit dodgy.
You really want to go that route?
What crime
We're
was that?
investigating somebody acting in a disorderly manner.
How?
You're video recording a nursing home and
But
you were upsetting the
photography
residents.
on the sidewalk.
We didn't know that. Don't we have to talk about it?
Photography on the sidewalk.
Okay.
Do I have to answer questions to that? No, I don't.
Wow.
Imagine he was literally just taking pictures of like the plants and stuff, and they thought they were taking pictures of someone. Like again, then this is all obviously wrong. But at the same time, why can't you just answer that you're just taking pictures of what you're actually doing, or try and give an explanation? It's just saying nothing.
What?
Where'd you get your law degree, man?
Do I? I was videotaping in front of the sidewalk. This is a universe. This is a right.
I have no idea, man. You won't cooperate with us to tell us what's going on. You're being asked to cooperate, and the police officer's giving you a direct order, and you won't stop.
Because I don't have to. Because I didn't
Yes,
do
you
anything
did.
illegal. No.
So that's in your opinion, not ours.
No, it's not. In the
Okay.
I did not do anything illegal.
Okay.
In general.
Okay.
The Fifth Amendment's, quote, right to remain silent can be a powerful tool for anyone interacting with the police. And in most cases, it is a good idea to remain silent as much as possible, but also within reason. The right to silence was designed to prevent individuals from incriminating themselves, and successfully invoking that right requires a functional balance between disseminating necessary information to police officers and not answering potentially incriminating questions asked by police officers. Although you are well within your rights to remain completely silent during most police interactions, outside of identifying yourself, it may not always be in your best interest to do so. Silence often says more than words, and it is extremely important to bear.
I mean, the 90% of the chance, if you're being like sort of silent about something, you probably know you're somewhat in the wrong. Sometimes you won't be, and sometimes you're just like, I can't be asked to deal with this today. I've literally done nothing wrong, so why am I going to say anything? But that's probably the stubborn side of people. If you want a situation done with quickly, just say, I was recording this flower, or I was doing this, I was doing that. If that's what you were doing, then just say it, man. Just you can get on with your day. But again, he's obviously gonna say what the kid was actually getting up to after. But
Bear in mind how your actions will be viewed inside of a courtroom after an interaction has taken place. Failing to announce your intention to exercise your rights leaves a court open to interpreting what your intentions may be. This was the case for Iowa-based auditor Daniel Robbins, who was arrested for photographing a police station from a public sidewalk and lost the subsequent lawsuit because he failed to articulate that he was exercising his rights, leaving the court to draw its own conclusions about his intention.
Is that illegal?
I will link my coverage of Mr.
So you can take pictures of inside people's homes when people are there, but you can't take pictures of police stations. Wait. Did I hear this wrong?
Sidewalk and lost the subsequent lawsuit, who was arrested for photographing a police station from a public sidewalk and lost the subsequent lawsuit because he failed to articulate that he was exercising his rights, leaving the court to draw its own conclusions about his intentions. I will link my coverage of Mr. Robbins' interaction in the info card above. If Mr. Bieterstedt had simply announced that he was exercising his First Amendment right to record in public, it could have de-escalated the encounter and served him well later in the courtroom.
Only reason I came here and photographed was because I knew it was within my rights.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, if that's all you were doing, but if you're videotaping and taking pictures of people inside there, that's a different story. Or if you're
okay, so I mean, he's saying that's
going on their property, acting in a disorderly manner, that's your problem to deal with.
Is this the sergeant then?
Officer Holland eventually returns with what appears to be a staff member of the facility and informs Mr. Bieterstedt that he is under arrest for disorderly conduct. Sergeant Stewart escorts Mr. Bieterstedt to the patrol car, and then something amazing happens.
So he's walking by videotaping the building?
Videotaping the building, he's like zooming in on the windows,
What
zooming
that's
in on the doors. I know.
It's not illegal to do that.
I explained to them what's going on, and they're like, oh my gosh, okay, I don't know what he's doing.
Okay, but time out.
Oh, this is the guy who's going to do it then. This guy who just came along and held him, he's now going to get... Okay. He's done a full like 360 on the situation.
That's not illegal to do that.
Hold on.
Oh my gosh,
What is it?
I don't know what he's doing.
Okay, but time out.
Time
That's
out,
not
sorry.
illegal to do that.
Okay.
So he's not acting in a disorderly manner if he's on the sidewalk walking by videotaping the outside of the building.
Okay.
That's the problem we have.
Yeah, and they were disturbed by his actions once they found out what was going on.
But
I tell you what I like. It takes a big sort of... It takes like, not courage, but it's like a... If someone's done something, like a police officer's done something, or someone's done something like... They've arrested someone for something that is like this, and then they've done a sort of 360 on the situation. That takes a lot of like I don't know what to say. Like, it's just like for someone to change their opinion, to sort of stop their ego get control of the situation. It's quite a big thing, man. I actually rate that from him because he was obviously there holding him, detaining him before, and now he's realised, wait, this doesn't really seem like right. This is a younger kid who's not actually broken the law. Why are we gonna arrest him for such a sort of silly situation, such a petty situation? So I do actually rate that from him because like most people would just let their ego control them and just be like, nah, just let it run anyway, just take him to prison or whatever.
how are they? They're disturbed. He's walking on the sidewalk
They
videotaping.
were concerned because they don't know his mental state. They don't know what he was doing. And I told him I can't.
Well, he wasn't. I mean, other than not obeying you, which is a no-no, which I mean that is what it is. But as far as walking by with a video camera, I mean, I'm not. That's not something that.
They
Even though they're
bothered by the actions that he was doing.
You could be bothered by a lot of things, Sam.
After Sergeant Stewart intervenes, Officer Holland uncuffs Mr. Bieterstedt, and after a calm conversation with the sergeant, he is released, and the officers leave the scene without further incident. Overall, Officer Holland gets a C-, because although she may have been within her authority to detain Mr. Bieterstedt, she essentially admitted to soliciting a complaint from a staff member of the facility and fully intended on making an arrest.
And they were disturbed by his actions once they found out what was going on. So they were willing to sign it.
Officers soliciting charges is a relatively common problem that is often difficult to prove. It is not uncommon for officers to solicit a charge so that they can arrest someone and go on about their day, rather than taking the time to examine all sides of a conflict. Anyone who has interacted with police can attest to that notion. Officer Holland fell into the typical routine of restoring peace at the expense of administering justice, but luckily, she was corrected by Sergeant Stewart. Sergeant Stewart gets an A+ for engaging with Mr. Bieterstedt in a challenging but cordial conversation, and for questioning Officer Holland's tactics and ordering her to release Mr. Bieterstedt. It is increasingly rare to see an officer display a relatively thorough knowledge of constitutional protections, but it is even rarer to see a supervisory officer object to the charges brought by a fellow officer.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he let his sort of ego, maybe not his ego, just sort of let the situation not get to him and realised, let's just do what's right here. And he didn't allow him to get arrested, which I do actually rate, like I've said 5 times without actually fully explaining what I'm trying to say. I don't know, but like, it's just, yeah, it's a good thing, man, because like most people would just let their ego sort of not allow them to seem like they're incorrect about the situation, and they'll just go through with what's happening, like arresting the person.
I commend Sergeant Stewart for having the proper knowledge and awareness to dispute Officer Holland's assertions and ensure that peace was restored and justice was equitably served. Well-informed officers deserve to be in supervisory positions, and Sergeant Stewart demonstrated great policing during this encounter. Mr. Bieterstedt gets a B+, because while it could be argued that he was engaged in a constitutionally protected activity, Mr. Bieterstedt's decision to record a retirement facility raises serious ethical questions. There is no progress to be made within the constitutional awareness movement by recording the Lutheran home, and alarming the residents of an elderly home only serves to make the movement look bad as a whole. Many of the home's residents are likely mentally unstable, and pointing a camera at such an establishment is obnoxious and disrespectful. And while Mr. Bieterstedt failed to properly exercise his Fifth Amendment right to silence, he did remain calm and collected throughout the encounter and ultimately was not charged with a crime. Mr. Bieterstedt would also do well to re-examine the Terry case and gain a deeper understanding of reasonable suspicion and detainment. Mr. Bieterstedt did a good job overall, and as his legal knowledge grows, so too will his auditing ability and ethical awareness. I look forward to seeing the auditor he will become, and I highly encourage you all to support his channel. The link is in the description.
Oh, what?
Let us know if there's an interaction or legal topic you would like.
Wait, what? Yeah, it's got a video. Oh, wow. Wait, oh, is this the kid? I think. I don't fucking know. But yeah, the interesting bit, man, this channel is really, it's just different to what you usually get on YouTube. You can be bothered by a lot of things, Sam. Most underrated comment. The irony of where do you get your law degree when the cops don't have one either. Where do you get your law degree? Crazy how we don't encourage regular citizens to inform themselves, but rather we discourage it when we feel dumb. So much respect for this officer to actually question his partner. Well done. This dude does 100% seem really odd. I just think he seemed a bit like... like, I was sort of thinking, like, do I want to back this kid? Because he seemed like he's not really, like... He just seemed like he was doing a few strange things. And I don't know, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just judging him. But, yeah, I feel like this is probably the best outcome to this scenario. But, I mean, yeah, let me know your thoughts on this, what you think about the situation. And, I mean, yeah, if you want more reactions to this channel, just suggest them in the comments and I'll be sure to do so. But, yeah, until next time, like, subscribe. Peace.